Hey everybody, how's it going?
Welcome back,
We're
Flooksters.
22.
Hey, this is episode, what is it, Roberto? I can't believe we made it this far. Episode 22
Yep,
of the What
yeah.
the Phuc podcast. 22 is actually a very lucky
And we've been
number.
doing like one a week,
It means we made it
some of
past,
like
how many months is
six,
this?
couple of months. Yeah. Friday the
Yeah, so maybe like
13th.
6, 7 months. So what day is this? This is May Friday, May 13th. And we started this
Well, I can check
6,
exactly
7
when we
months ago.
uploaded the
What
first
date is that?
episode.
November? Yeah, December maybe? While you do that lookup, so basically for those new to the
Yeah, at
podcast,
this
which is
point.
probably very few
It
people,
was 7 months
who
ago.
makes it to episode 22 unless something happens, but actually something did happen. So this episode may be the beginning of people
Oh,
trying to pay attention to this because we just hired a publicist. I hired a publicist, a PR person, and this is a show. Again, this is the What the Food podcast. It's a show about our lives, me and Roberto, where we're trying to start some companies. It's about life. It's about some of the crazy ideas I have in terms of physics, and also spirituality and all these other things. And Roberto's remote working
yep.
lifestyle, and family and everything. And it's a reality show essentially, live, and we basically are going through these emotions. And I think in one episode I actually cried. It
Yep,
was
that's
real.
awesome.
It wasn't fake, because I actually became a millionaire recently. And yeah, so this basically we started the show when I was broke. I was dead broke for real. 'Cause I would go and like use a credit card, and it would bounce and like oops. And I was like, I'm just gonna return the stuff, and then I'll make okay. Now I use a credit card, and I'm like, oh no, it bounced. No, because I just used so much money that I have this other credit card. It's fine. 'Cause it's just because I just
Yeah.
been spending so much money because I've been just buying stuff on that credit card because I know I can pay it off. But I gave away, so just so you guys may or may not know, so to catch you guys up. So
Seven
we
months
started
ago.
this podcast when I was starting a company called Phuc Labs, where we basically Phuc Lab, yeah, and also Mass Realty, which Roberto is actually really running with Magali, his wife, and Magali and Roberto are running Mass Realty now, and the leaders behind that, I handed the reins to them,
Yes.
right? And then they actually you have a budget now, right, Roberto? So I want to talk about that, where basically I handed the reins to you, and actually I gave you authorization to
Yep.
handle the
Yeah, it's
finances,
going good.
hire
Like we're
people,
building it
and
up.
essentially you
Obviously,
two
there
are
was
running
like
the
some
company
ups
at
and
this
downs
point.
and everything. Like during the whole process, if you guys want to keep, well, for the people that have still been watching the show and everything, man, like you've seen it. People have come in, hung out for a bit, not for them, left, or just weren't good enough to be in the team, and that's where we're at right now. Oh, and there's been like a slew of people. There's a bunch of people that actually
So who
thought,
left?
remember,
What do
like,
you mean
well,
who left? Can you
the
tell me
latest
who
ones, like
left?
going back, you can go like with Fat, when he decided that he didn't have enough time for this. Then you had Drew, which you can watch it on episode, what was it? Here you go, episode 18. No, episode 20, where we decided that he just wasn't good enough. Actually, like it just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Like there's a certain level you have to be part of something this big. And then before that, we had remember your friend Colin? Same thing. And that Colin, who I'm not even sure what happened with him.
Right. We had Colin.
And like even before that, we had like other people. Like Cameron, was it his name? He was on the team for like a little bit, for like a couple of meetings, and that was it. Yeah, like I'm trying to like go back.
Yep. And some other people. I'm not gonna name all the names.
Yes.
But the
The
lesson
board
is
meeting episode was
we
episode
actually
20.
had a board meeting about this. What episode was that? We had a board meeting where we basically say, okay, what's the
Under-delivered.
pattern was that everyone over promised
It's a big issue.
and under delivered.
Like I feel like at some point, like you have to understand like what it is that you can and cannot do, and
And
like
now
that's the thing that comes with time and experience. Mm-hmm.
So this is actually the thing I want to talk about today. So the subject today, because sometimes we change the subject, but mostly we talk about like real life stuff we're dealing with. All right. So what have you been dealing with, Roberto? So to summarize it, you've been dealing with trying to get
Yes.
someone to help you with some stuff in terms of to get Mass Realty off the ground. So Mass Realty is essentially a real estate startup where it's a social network for real estate where you can go ahead and buy houses by yourself using self-service. And then we would actually have a gig job where someone can go make videos of the neighborhood and show people around to replace the agent. And then basically make this a model where it's essentially going to be something that is useful for researching homes, but also the neighborhood and where to live, and eventually become a social network eventually, perhaps. But the idea is to really create an existing business that we have, where, Roberto, when you came to the situation, my website, massrealty.com, was my third business that I had actually started a long time ago, and Mass Realty flamed out because Google changed their algorithm, and we were using SEO, search engine optimization, to get traffic. And I actually grew it organically, all by myself and my wife. We grew from 0 states to Mass Realty first. Then we went to NewHampshireHomes.com. Then we went to TexasHomesForSale.com. Then Florida State Homes, MichiganHomes.com. We bought these domains, and essentially the idea was to keep growing this. And we grew it to $1 million actually, just us two. And we actually had a substantial team.
And we talked about it on episode
Google
7.
changed their algorithm,
if anybody wants to
and we
watch
basically
it.
had to lay everyone off and close the company down. Yep. So to for those new to the episode, which there may be some, this is season 2 essentially. So season 1 was episode 20 and below, I think.
Yeah.
And then season 2 is now we're actually gonna really take off, I think, because now we kind of figured out the core team. We found that basically it's me, it's you, and it's Magli. So Magli, Roberto, and Phuc
Yep. No,
are the
definitely.
only ones left standing from Mass Realty who believes in this idea. Is that right? And along the way, there were so many dead bodies of what I call entrepreneurs. And a person who wants to be an entrepreneur,
Under delivers.
but over promises,
Man, there's a bunch of people like that.
under delivers. And that's basically the theme. What it takes to be an entrepreneur. So Roberto, besides those
That's been a
characteristics,
couple of years,
perseverance,
year and
how
a
long
half.
have you been doing this with me in terms of Mass Realty?
Yeah, she was there before. Damn,
Actually,
it's gonna be-
Magli, I
it's
think
gonna
I
be
met
2
her
years. It's coming
in
up on that.
August of 2020. So, okay, so I'll tell you how badly we ran this. So everyone who sees success, where I'm actually a millionaire, and you saw me cry because I actually became a millionaire recently on this show, actually. So I actually had $1 million, and I gave it a lot of it away, by the way, because I owed people in the past.
Episode
that
19,
helped me.
for those who want
I
to
gave
see
some
Phuc
family
crying.
to help them, but ultimately I have no money left. I have very little left, but it's enough for me to basically go after my dreams and go after Phuc Labs. Let me bring you up a little bit of Phuc Labs before we get too deep into Mass Realty. But Phuc Labs is the company that is going to be my last company. It's called Phuc Labs for a reason. Where it's basically a area where I can go and be an artist and bring other artists in and make magic. Because for me, coding, computer science, is spell casting. When I write a program, I'm casting a spell for something to do something. And what we invented at Phuc Labs was something where it can really help humanity, where essentially we can take things out of water. So almost like you can think of water as a conveyor belt. And the conveyor belt's bringing down all these packages. And these packages have things in it that you want. For example, sometimes the package is gold. We'll pick the gold out. Sometimes the package is something evil, something that you want to get rid of, like some poison. We can take the poison out, like microplastics or PFAS or something that's going to harm you. And the idea is if we can do this using a computer and do it digitally, basically without a membrane, without any hardware, just the power of AI, the power of information. I never imagined that AI, a computer, can help filter something out of water, unsort particles out of water. But we did it.
Yep.
I see it in the lab every day. We've been doing it for 18 months. You can follow our journey. And we've
Which
been
is
fundraising.
crazy, man. Like, it really
the
blows my
fundraising
mind. It
hasn't
really
gone as well
blows
as I
my
thought.
mind that people are not just
Exactly.
like jumping on this.
Which is crazy.
Yes.
So this is also about perseverance. So Master Routine started in August 2020, and I had the idea for Phuc Labs July 2020. I built the prototype, the first real funding
Yep.
outside of me, funding it myself because I actually sold some of my shares from before, and I funded myself for a while. The first real funding was from probably October 2020. So it was founded 2020. So both companies are founded 2020 essentially, right? And Phuc Labs in the last, 18 months, however long it's been, 20 months, we were able to perfect the entire technology, improve it in the field, and basically beat a sewage plant. So we went to a sewage plant and tested our
Fun times,
technology
huh?
and sorted essentially poop out of water and made the water cleaner. You guys can watch that video. And that's how the first video we ever made, right? Roberto,
Yeah.
we made that video where we sorted poop out of sewage. You can see that live in the reality show. I think that's the first,
Oh man,
the first couple of
I
episodes.
used to love
we were
those
still
videos.
doing
Just like
that.
make it like a small.
And then we did what's called a
parenthesis.
pivot,
I used to
guys.
love like, oh, we're like here. We
know what
need
a pivot
to
is,
pitch
Roberto?
this to a bunch of people that are gonna be like probably all these investors. Here's like footage of sewage water and just like shit in water. Let's make this pretty. Like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the plant is regulated to do 50%.
Nice. I think that's a lot more.
Let's say, right? And we did 80%. We beat the plant.
Yeah.
And the plant needed chemicals because the chemicals had to bind to these
Okay.
pieces of poop, essentially, to have it sink or float. And then it would sludge it away from the bottom or from the top. And they would have to wait, and they would have to use lots of space, lots of heavy equipment. And they would go ahead and do this, and it would cost a lot of money and a lot of years. And we did it and beat it by a lot, using no membrane,
30%.
no chemicals, using a computer and AI. And we did it in a portable way, because we don't have to wait for things to sink
Okay.
or float.
For
It
like
just
the
has to be
camera to
kind of
recognize
big
it?
enough in a
Yep.
ratio as it flows by. So imagine my pinky, right? Let's look at your pinky. Like, imagine your pinky.
It's not
How
bad.
much can fit in your
Yeah.
pinky is how much we can cut out. Does that make sense? So let's say I have water flow that I can convey about, and I can say, okay, that thing in that pinky-sized block of water, I want to grab that. And we can grab it. So we can grab anything within a pinky-sized block of water, maybe less, maybe more, because it's basically 2 speed limits. The first speed limit is how fast can you identify in that block of water what it is. The first part is
Okay.
up here. It's the beginning of a transistor for water. Okay. So the beginning of the transistor is, look at this block of water. What is in that water? Is it clean or is it not clean? If it's clean, then the transistor will pipe it to the clean direction, either left or right, let's
Just-
say. Left is clean, and right is not clean, let's say. So if you did clean and not clean, clean and not clean, not clean, not clean,
Yeah.
clean, 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 not clean, 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 it's like a toll booth. It's like a toll booth. It's a conveyor belt system where these packages are coming down. And sometimes those packages, they're the size of your pinky, right? Sometimes these little pinkies are packages. Sometimes this pinky is clean, right? And sometimes my kids take their pinky and stick in peanut
like
butter,
a peanut butter
and they
image.
eat it, and it's not so clean. So literally, all I have to do is look at which pinky had peanut butter on it, and I'll find all the clean pinkies.
You might have just ruined peanut butter for
and
me.
then all the pinkies that have peanut butter on it on one side. That's basically the technology.
Yes.
Right, so the
In the
peanut butter
pool.
kids versus the regular kids. Right. Or if you want to be a little bit more like, more naughty, you can say, well, we can measure pinky sizes and see which ones have bigger pinky sizes.
Yes.
That's a little adult joke for you, for the adults. Right, so we can measure
Yep.
the picky sturdiness, let's say, or manliness, or whatever it is, or thickness, whatever you want to prefer, and basically sort the pinkies. That's all it is. And if you did that with a block of water, that is millions and millions, whatever it is,
Okay.
right? You can also take the water
just
and
keep
loop it in
cycling?
a circle. So you don't have to use new water. You recycle the water.
That's awesome.
And you just put stuff into the conveyor belt and then store stuff. That's the idea. It works. It's amazing. So anyway, those are the two companies. So Roberto and Magli are running Mass Realty because I don't have time to do both, obviously. So I handed the reins to these two, and I'm helping them with the strategy because I know the old company. I can help them inform what happens.
For sure.
So what's your strategy for
What
the
I've
new
been
company,
doing.
Roberto? What
I've
have
been
you
pumping
doing?
out content.
Let's do board
as
meeting
much as I
update.
can. Got onto like the YouTube Shorts and everything to have it like streamlined a bit more and try to get it out to more people, because I do believe it's man, like every time you can cut out like the middleman, you're gonna make some money. You're gonna save something and stuff, and that's essentially what we're offering here. It's like getting you the ideal place where you can live in without having the middleman, and getting some real like information on whatever location it is you're looking at, and like real stats. Because I feel like a bunch of people like fill you up with like, oh, but we have this in this place, and it's marble, and it's this, and all these like home improvements that, let's say, like I'm a parent as well. Okay, fine, like it's floors at the end of the day, but what I really want to know is how's the school, what parks are close, how's transportation, where's the closest groceries, how are hospitals going on, and the fact that I can just go in and ask somebody, what does this neighborhood look like, and somebody that lives there is going to be like, man, this place is awesome because of this, and this is great. So that's what I've been trying like to get it more in front of people by creating more content. Yep. Okay.
So basically, you are the content person. So just to bring this back high level, right? So Mass Realty, we had a bunch of trouble trying to find essentially co-founders.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a talk about co-founder relationships and co-founding a company. So when you co-found a company, you can say, "Wow, I have these 3 co-founders, and they're so amazing," and the 2 of them do really good work,
like,
and then one of them doesn't do good work. What do you do about that third person? So what happened here? How did Dhruv and Fat go through that process, and how do you make it amicable that you break up? Because Fat actually still works for me at Phuc Labs, and Dhruv actually still works for us at Phuc Labs, but not in the capacity of a co-founder. Okay, so what was the process to bring a co-founder on, work with them, evaluate them,
Yeah, for sure.
then break up with them?
Well, at the beginning, first of all, like
there's no harsh
us, we
Tell
had
me
to
that
evaluate,
process
like
that
we had to figure out what we needed as like the companies and founders, whatever. And once we set that up, we found a person, which in this case was probably like Dhruv or Fat, and we try to fill that spot. Obviously, explaining that it's kind of like performance based, and then see what they offer and what they can do for that place, and then we evaluate the work that was been done, and then try to check out with numbers and real proof and facts, like, listen, this was offered, this is what we needed, and this is what you delivered. So there can't be any hard feelings because you're not making anything up. It's not like a subjective opinion on people. It's really like, this is what happened. So that's it. And for the place we're at right now.
Yeah, and let me add a little bit of color to that, Roberto, because that's very elegantly put. But I think the main thing was also the very important thing that I want to add is that there was a very clear target.
Yes.
Number one, there was a major project that we needed them to do, right? For example, Dhruv was supposed to play a role, like you were saying. Number one was identify a role, then identify a clear objective and a project that they can test to show that they can commit to something and do something pretty substantial in that area to help us. And then you had a deadline. And so we said 1 month or whatever they said was voluntary on their side to say, well, let's interview them, say, okay, what do you think is the most important thing to do? And then we say, well, this is the most important thing to do. So we both got
communication, all like there was always communication and everything
to the company.
Yeah.
So the company said to the candidate, let's communicate in agreement. What's the prize? The prize is a job. Okay. What is the audition? This task specifically at this deadline. Then when they did not hit that deadline nor do that task, along the way, ideally you should have met with them and prodded them.
We did. Like we did talk with them like a bunch of times, and it wasn't like a super hard deadline either. So even within the process, it wasn't just like, you know what, like you didn't hit it, thank you. It was like, so like what's happening? Like it's been a month, it's been a month and a half, it's been 2 months, and then we sat down. We're like,
Right.
mm-hmm.
And also, ideally, the
Yeah.
task is not something that you need to supervise. For example, do this 30-day course. At the end of 30 days, the result of that course will be this result, including a prototype or something tangible that we can use. Because the whole point of that
Yeah.
course is to take training on some tool, and at the end of that, the tool will provide this benefit. And then see if they go through that course, and then anything that they have is actually already ready for them in the community, in YouTube videos, and all this content. That's one example. Or say something like, hey, this is a very clear, defined prototype I want you to build. And I want you to build part of it, not all of it. But pick a part that you think is reasonable for you to test your skills. Have them volunteer a deadline. And then say, well, this deadline must be within a time period that I think makes sense for both of us. Let's say 1 week or 1 month, whatever you decide for both of us. And then that is a contract where both of you opted in. It's a dual opt-in. I opted in as an employer that if this result does not happen on this deadline that you picked, that we both selected as both mutually fair, mutually beneficial to both of us, because at the end of it, if you don't get this opportunity, we don't hire you, that course is going to be
communication
helpful.
all the way.
Right? So at the minimum as an intern or as a co-founder or as a partner or whatever you want to call this person, as someone who I'm working with, I know at the end of it you get some benefit, even if we walk away. I hope that it actually works out for both of us, because we want to hire you, but this needs to be something you do first.
Exactly.
It's like joining the mob. You have to kill someone.
We need to know you're all in here.
Go kill someone. Bring back their body with their heads.
Well, yeah, no, it is a thing of
the Mongol army.
Accountability and commitment. And like you said, like we're not the one that set up all this whole, like we told you, like this is what we need, and you're like, yeah, I can do that. Okay, how long will it take you to do this? A week. Let's do it a week and a half, so we can definitely make this happen and everything. Okay, fine. So at the end of the day, like they can't really, like there can't be any harsh feelings, because everything was very like clear cut and it just didn't happen. So like, okay, this is it. This was the outcome that we were like trying to avoid, but it came to this.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we said, look, you can get this specific share of the company, a specific share of profits, where in this case it was profit share and some other stuff maybe. We won't talk about all the details of everything, right? Because there's some minors. But the whole point is, you know that what you get is something that is worth it.
Yeah.
And if you actually really what you say you are.
Exactly.
You could just promise something.
But I mean, like that, it does take a part of like each individual knowing themselves. Like after a second, like you can bullshit anybody all as much as you want, but at the end of the day, when you're sitting alone and with yourself, you know what you can do and what you can't do. So there's no real point in making up all these things that you can't deliver, because at some point somebody's gonna have to, okay, you can do this, let's do this, and then what? No, exactly.
Right, you can't fake it till you make it all the
Yeah,
time.
you can catch up to what you just
you can if you
told
work
people.
really hard in the background to learn.
But when you better catch up fast, and I think that's one of the things that didn't happen. Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically, we parted with Drew because he didn't accomplish his 1 month goal of doing some type of course, right? And to set up the marketing minimum, whatever we wanted and needed, right? For Fat, we wanted some type of technical work done, and he didn't achieve it at a certain time.
Well, I mean, like,
and how did that?
I felt a bit like I felt Fat's leaving more than Drew's, because Drew, I mean, like I wasn't sure what he was doing, and he was just like, we're just coming in, so it was fine. Like, okay, it is what it is. But with Fat, like he was more part of the team and he was more involved and everything, and so I did think we could lean in on him like a bit more, like as part of the team, like one of the, like these other like pillars that we were, like as a team, and then for him to be like, yeah, you know what, this isn't working out, it was like, man, like I thought you were cool, man, but it just didn't happen. And he must have his own reasons and everything, and it's fine. Like at the end of the day, if you make your choices, like the only you can live with that and see what's up for your own existence. Like you know your life, but I personally like just thought we were like getting to a good like base, and that we were doing everything like fine and everything. So when he did leave, it was kind of like, okay, man, like I didn't think this was gonna happen. Yeah, like Fat, like man, not mainly humanity.
So you lost a little
in
faith
Fat, it
in
was like,
humanity.
man, like it didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's part of humanity. Right?
Exactly.
You know, you thought you
So
knew
does it make you
someone,
like
but
so
you
like
didn't quite know
me
this
question
well you thought.
myself as a like a
And
somebody that knows people and can see like, okay, yeah, this guy's a good guy. I don't know, maybe. Man, I'm trying to make like not take it like too personally either, because like, it's at the end of the day, it's he was probably made a decision that he thought was better for him. It was like the best outcome for what he decided to do in whatever his future endeavors are. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and I totally agree. And I think that's the lesson for you entrepreneurs
Yep.
out here. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is a real reality show. We're talking about real lives. People are actually on the show. Fat
Yeah,
on the show.
yeah, no,
on the
no hard
show.
feelings or
These are
anything.
real
Like,
people, but we're also friends with them still. But Fat still works for me, and I hang out with them every day. And I said, look, you're not ready for this, because being a co-founder, being committed to something where you have to work for free on weekends and at nights, and see if this art needs to exist in the world. You either the artist that really wants it to happen because you're
Yeah.
obsessive
Yeah.
about this art and what you feel like needs to exist, or you don't. Right?
yeah, no, it's just not gonna happen.
It's like trying to make someone
I just
love
don't love
something,
it.
but they
Like
don't love
that's it. Like I don't care how pretty you paint it. It's like it's not it.
Because you can see them playing, video games. You can see them going on the internet. You can see them doing a bunch of other things, I'm sure, with anybody.
Yes.
And then they'll say they don't have enough time.
I'm like, man, but you don't have time for me.
And then it makes you
Which is
feel what? It
different.
makes you feel like, okay, really?
Mhm.
Okay, I want to go through the emotions that we both felt. Okay, so that's what you said. Okay, so that felt okay. So I gave you this opportunity, and you're young, and I put my neck out there for you,
Yeah.
and then you wasted our time,
Well, I think he did walk away with something though.
and you wasted your time.
Like so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was only 1 month,
Yeah.
and he walked
yeah.
away with something, and we also walked away with something too. And we just continue where he left off. But we got one step closer for us, and he walked away with knowledge that made him way
you
more
feel
attractive
used,
as a
man.
candidate for the next job.
Yeah. No, definitely.
But that's how you have to think about it. And that's okay, because look, life isn't about forcing someone to love you. It's by finding someone who has the same frequency as you. Sometimes their frequency does not vibrate with your frequency. Their stage of life, for example. Fat's frequency is to explore like a butterfly. Many doors are open. How many doors are open for you and me, Roberto? Not many, right? Because we close the doors when we make a choice in life. Who you marry, the kids that you have, the way you live your life and the job you get, everything you do closes doors. And Fat and Drew's doors are fully open. So their perspectives, they're flying through the doors, like butterfly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're trying to catch a butterfly. Maybe that butterfly doesn't want to stay on that flower. Right? So these butterflies are regular people who want to be that butterfly who sits on that flower and becomes, whatever, the person who makes that flower special and works on that flower and dedicates their life to that flower because they love that flower. They don't love that flower. They love flying.
That's like right now that makes a lot of sense, man. It's not about the flower.
Butterflies
it's
aren't
about
meant.
the flying. And yeah.
Yeah, but I think our flower is pretty special, and like I'm a butterfly who likes to sit on this flower and make this flower special because I
Yeah,
think this flower is
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be something special that I can be proud of because I'm not a butterfly anymore. I'm something else. I'm a garden keeper. I'm an artist, whatever I want to call myself. But we're not the same frequency. So don't take it harshly, audience. Like your co-founders break up with you, maybe they don't have the same frequency. Let's say it's not the same frequency. What happens to two frequencies who don't jive is maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But there has to be some core frequency that's the same in terms of promise, what you promise, and don't under-deliver, because under-deliver means that you don't love it. It just shows
Yeah.
the truth earlier. So you don't both waste your time.
And it's about like this
Not
moment
being
of
in
like
love with the same
introspection, like where you actually give yourself a big hard look and be honest with yourself. Because like you can bullshit everybody, you can't bullshit yourself. And then like once you understand that, you can make better decisions about like all these like getting into bed with somebody or a team or whatever. And you'll know right away. And it's not just about being nice or but I'm gonna give this a try, like because like you're part of a team, and if the team relies on you and everything, man, like you do create a certain bond here.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like the struggle of going from zero to something, of being a nobody, and then all of a sudden you're a big hit on Broadway and you're all kind of stars suddenly, or you're like part of the Friends group, which is like a bunch of nobody actors, and all of a sudden you become friends. That's what artists and football players love, because the NFL, the same thing. You go in the locker room, and when you quit football and you retire like Tom Brady, you come back because you miss the people and the camaraderie and being part of that.
And it's something like very unique. Each thing, each project, each group of people you meet brings something to you. So it's up to you, like to know if okay, I can stick around here, or like this is not my thing. And right away, and then with the faster you can identify this, like the better it is for everybody at the end.
Exactly. So the way you want to do this test is actually someone wise, an investor, said this quote: if you can imagine yourself not being an entrepreneur and doing something else and being fairly happy or moderately happy, then you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. If you can't imagine any job where you're not going to kill yourself and basically quit your job because you hate it, because you have to do this thing because that's all you think about all day and night because you love it so much.
Yes, which one?
It's like, you ever see those, you ever read the books like Charles Dickens? Where like Charles Dickens is married to a moderately nice wife who he doesn't hate or love. But yeah, like there's I forget the name of the book, but there's a couple books kind of similar theme, like where basically you really don't love this person, but you're just with them.
Yeah,
but you love
in Spanish we have this
else,
like she's my peor es nada. Like she's like, it's like it could be worse. You know?
So you have to choose in your life, who do you want to be? The person who sticks with their wife and because they owe them because they have kids and she didn't do anything wrong to you,
and just like
or the person who
dare to
chases
see
the
what's
passionate
up.
mistress. Yeah, because you pick the passionate mistress is very irresponsible. You can probably screw up your life. You got to reset everything. You can probably lose friends, probably lose relationships, lose your lifestyle, maybe lose your marriage.
But like then it comes back to like what we were saying at the beginning.
Lose
like
everything, maybe.
Even if that is the choice you want, do it respectfully. Which is why we still hang out. You still hang out with Drew and Fat and everything. So it's not about burning bridges like just for the fun of it. Like there's ways of doing things. Yeah. Yep, definitely. No, it's not.
I'm just saying it has to be such a radical decision in your life because being an entrepreneur. I'm just trying to tell you. I'm trying to talk people out there. That's what I'm trying to do. It's like this is like you shouldn't cheat on your wife. You should stay with your wife. You should not have a mistress. Do not do a company.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I'm
exactly.
trying to say,
And,
like,
and
do
when
not
I say
feel
this is
bad
a
about
full
not
time,
wanting to be an entrepreneur. That's what I'm
no.
trying to say to the audience.
And when I'm saying like it's a full time thing, I'm
Do
not
not
talking
feel
40
bad
hours a
that you
week.
do not want a mistress.
Like just for everybody watching here, it's 60, 70 sometimes, and if there's stuff that needs to be delivered,
Yeah.
or things that need to be done, it's like right now, and I don't care if it's like Friday at 10 o'clock and you're in the middle of a supper. Like shit happens, and if it has to happen there, it has to happen there. And it's a
Yeah, or maybe you know that
Exactly.
payroll is like 6 weeks away, and you may not have it because the company's running out of money, and everyone has
all
to
go,
not quit
yeah.
right now because if one person or 3 people quit, or whatever people quit, then there's zero chance for the group.
Yeah.
Zero chance for the group. We have to stick together, and then you have to trust those people are not going to quit, and then you make it through that, and maybe you make it through that, maybe you
Yes.
don't, but you look
When you
at
have
each
to
other in
start
the eye
thinking.
and you walk away. Friends.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Because there's a bunch of like hard feelings.
Sometimes that
people
doesn't
get,
happen.
Like,
That doesn't
take it
happen
very
at all
personally.
times.
And like everybody brings always some kind of baggage. So like they don't walk into each situation like just completely unbiased and clean. So it is, yeah. But it is a big part of it, like.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I have to do a back
Okay,
from
go
break.
ahead.
But Roberto, I'm going to ask you a question. You can answer it. I'll probably be back before you answer, okay? Can you tell the audience, now that Drew and Fat are gone, what's the new strategy now?
sure.
In particular, the
Go ahead.
Upwork strategy and how I gave you guys both the budget and all that. Can you talk about that and the new strategy?
So there you go. No liquids before podcasting, people. So yeah. So basically, right now the new strategy is try to get as many links as possible. Everything that can like feed back towards you and reference you as some sort of like important aspect of the internet and of the housing market is going to be amazing, because then you get importance, and the SEO of the whole situation is very important as well, because it's not the same thing if you pop up on the first page of Google as if you pop up on the second or third one, which honestly I've never even been there. And yeah, that's the like the aspect of the SEO and everything, and how important it is to be like on those first choices, ideally without running ads, but if you have to, like, it is what it is, you know, like if you're going to pop up first or second, it does make a difference. Then how do you keep getting that? Get some interest, get people involved. My aspect, what I'm doing as an animator and the content creator, is exactly that: making all the content, make it interesting, make it entertaining. Like honestly, right now, what's like one of my main issues has been like this attention grabbing stuff, because I really believe in what we're doing, and I think that the information showed is very important, or just like relevant. So everything that is being done, it's hard sometimes to just get your to like you have 10 seconds. I mean, like 10 seconds, there's a bunch of important information that just doesn't get conveyed in 10 seconds. But you need to stick around and just see what it is, and to imagine yourself like, how does this impact my life? And it does impact it in a good way, because of mass reality and everything we're trying to do here is for you. It's very useful for everybody, and it's issues that we've had. Like I bought a house or I bought an apartment, and if I have to cut out the middleman because it boosted the price maybe like 10%, and now I can't afford that house in that place, I can afford this house in this other place. So it's like plan B. So we're trying to get everybody like to a good level and to be happy in whatever it is they're doing. Hey.
Yeah, well, I'm back. Well, thank you for that. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing now, but I maybe take a little bit higher level of what we're doing. So what I want to talk about today, so what with the first part we talked about is, how do you find co-founders? How do you find people who work with you and then be able to break up with them in a way that makes sense for both parties? But hopefully find someone good. So we actually stuck together. So 3 of us actually are co-founders, right? And the second question is how do you actually pivot a company? Pivot a strategy, where we had a strategy for HR, let's say, human resources, where we were going to do this and feel it a certain way, and pivoted multiple times actually.
Yeah.
And each person you hire to fill that founder role is almost like a pivot, right?
Yes.
Like you're pivoting from this strategy to this strategy, because each of the co-founders brings different skills that they can fill, and then it changes the strategy of how you build your company and actually build the roadmap of what you do. But in the end, we pivoted a couple of times. So you know to pivot when you bang on your head once, twice. In this case, for Mass Realty, Bangdao had how many? 10 co-founders, right? 5 co-founders, something like that. So that was a bad omen when the second one happened. So the first one is probably random. The second one is maybe
Probably,
give it
yeah.
a second chance. The third one is probably your fault that you didn't pay attention to the pattern. We didn't pay attention to the pattern.
Yeah.
Right? So you want
Well,
to
you get some
pivot
feedback as well, like
a
from
little
people.
bit earlier
Like,
than
whoever
what we
needs
did
to
here.
go out, like you can both give each
So
other
one
feedback
pivot-
on like what was it that made it so that you found this so unmanageable.
Right. And then you find, now you find that you found a core group of people. So the first step is actually to find the core team that you want to work with. And we've done that already. So that's the first step. And now that you try people out, you did the founding team, you hire people. Now we're past that first phase already. So ding, 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 Master D past that first phase. Okay, so you graduated there. Phuc Labs, we did that a while ago. So Phuc's stages of company growth. Stage 1. Find your co-founders. We found the co-founders at Mass Realty. We showed you the process. We did that with Phuc Labs. I show you the process. You can watch the episodes as I brought people on. So in Phuc Labs, it was more like I was the founder, and we had a founding team. And I had set aside some equity for the founding team, and I started filling the roles for those people in that team strategically based on a cap table or basically a share of stocks that I would allocate for certain roles. So for example, a VP of sales would be this, a BD would be this, a VP of computer science would be this, a VP of software, a VP of hardware, blah, blah, blah. And I would look at the market rates. I actually downloaded and got data from other startups with comparable size, comparable stage, comparable everything. And I made it public to my staff. I made it public that this is the way I'm going to hire people. These are the roles. These are the things. And I actually made 4 grade levels in terms of salary. And I'll even make it transparent someday. But basically, there's 4 grades, and basically everyone would fit a certain grade.
It's right there. It's written.
So then I don't have to worry about negotiating salary. Right.
Okay.
Right. And then what I did was I bumped everyone up 30% from normal salary. So let's say you go out of school, you get, let's say, 70K or 80K. I'll give you 100K. Right? Let's say at this stage of a startup, you get whatever. I bump you up, and then I only hire the best people. I hire fewer people. So that's the strategy I have for Phuc Labs, because I know how to build technology, and the way you build technology is like Nintendo. So you should go to Netflix and watch this documentary.
I know they started off as a card game, but that was it.
Nintendo was only 19 people. Did you know that? 19? Nintendo, all, Mario Brothers, all the video games, Zelda, all that stuff, all the Nintendo magazine, all that stuff, all the business stuff, all the coding, all the stuff was 19 people total. Okay. My last company, where we're doing very well, Clinical Research IO, was literally 4 or 5 people for like 3-4 years. And now the company is doing very well. Let's just say that. Because it's like magic. When you code, you're casting a spell. And then you cast that spell and you host that spell somewhere. And the spell is hosted in the cloud. So imagine that's Magic Land. You cast a spell and the spell lands in cloud Magic Land. And then that software lives forever in cloud Magic Land. And I wrote that software single-handedly. I would say about 80% of it in the first year, because it was just me and an intern and then a contractor. And so I'm very proud of that company, because I cast that spell, and that spell is now forever in that cloud, running and serving clinical research. So I think 1,000 out of 3,000 possible clinical research sites in the U.S. use our platform to find drugs to cure cancer, to cure acne, to cure rosacea, to do whatever clinical research needs to be done. And I'm very proud of that, because now it used to be 10 years and $1 billion to get a drug to market. Without technology, we can cut out the middleman and make it a lot cheaper, 30% cheaper, 30% faster. And we're doing the same thing with Mass Realty here, right? And with Phuc Labs, we're doing it, the middleman is actually the filter. We're removing the filter, that's the middleman, the analog process, and now we're making it digital. And we're replacing the middleman, the membrane, with AI. I never thought that AI, artificial intelligence, a computer can actually sort things out of water, but that's what we're doing for real.
Okay.
And we're also doing a Republic campaign so that regular people, our audience, now that you guys are fans, can participate in the upside. We're not doing that for mass realty yet because we're not ready yet. I'm not sure if we even have to do that because we can be profitable and lean on that, right? And bootstrap that. So I want to show on this show 2 startups, 2 perspectives. A bootstrapped startup using SEO, using lean approach, low cost, just hopes and dreams, and then trying to grow that. That's Mass Realty. Then we have Phuc Labs, a VC funded, fully, all in terms of the traditional approach. And we're going to Republic untraditionally because it's been on my bucket list. Do you know what
Sorry, I'm
Republic
just
is,
looking at a
Roberto?
very loud place right now.
No, okay. So so let me explain what Republic is to the audience. So have you heard of Bitcoin? Basically, it's the same thing as Bitcoin, but instead of investing in a currency, you can actually invest in private companies. So think of it as a new stock market. So there's a regular stock market where you have Apple, you have Tesla, you have all these companies that everyone knows about. And investors have been saying, well, why can't I invest in Uber before they become public? Why can't I invest in DoorDash before they become public? Why can't I invest in Tesla before they become public, or SpaceX, or whatever the brand name that I hear all the time is good? Why can't I invest in Phuc Labs before they become public? And because of that, the government has actually made regulations for crowd investment for regular people to go ahead and invest $500 checks, $400 checks, just regular people like the audience. If you believe this transistor for water
it gives,
is actually going to work,
you do believe in it, and I feel like $400, $500 is very it's manageable.
Yep. And just
Yes, so link below over here. Please subscribe.
No.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's not bullshit.
No, we do not do ads here. This is real. I don't need it. Okay. I don't need the ads. Trust me. Okay, so the main thing is, you can basically, we're raising at a $15 million pre-money valuation. I want to educate the audience because some people don't know what a startup's about. So we basically have to set a price of what we think we're worth. Okay, so how do you set that price? I'll be frank. Look at the market. Look at what people are getting compared to your experience. Compared to
what if you have something completely new?
And see people
this is a different thing, and you have nothing to compare it to. Then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, then you just look at of something completely new. Let's say you want to do a new blender. If you look at other blender companies that are new, how much are those companies starting out at? What's the starting line for those companies? What's the valuation? So you say, average check size is $100,000 at a $2 million valuation, let's say. Right? That's something that someone might advertise. Like Y Combinator might say, I will give you $100,000 if you actually go into my incubator and you get accepted into this school where I can teach you how to run a startup, and actually at the end of that school, I will actually help you find the next investor to get more money. That's called Y Combinator. It's called an accelerator. We joined an accelerator called Urban X. Amazing accelerator. They helped us craft our narrative. They help us fix our technology, make it go faster, amplify some stuff, can make us connections, all that. So that's an example of an accelerator, something that can set a value, because they do this a lot. Does that make sense? And if you're a new entrepreneur, you can also go to Y Combinator, and they actually have forms for you. For example, you can get what's called a Y Combinator Safe Note. It is a template where you can say the company's worth this much, in this case 15 million, and I can buy it for whatever that price in a future round. And at that point, we can have all the lawyers do all the paperwork later. That's what a safe note is. It's just, because usually you have to have a ton of paperwork, and you have to hire a lawyer. It costs $15,000, $20,000, whatever the amount is. And you also waste a lot of time because you have to go back and make everything illegal, and people have to get signatures really quick and all that stuff. In this case, Y Combinator is like, we do this a lot. We have this whole school, and every year we have like 1,000 graduates. And so we just create a template for these graduates So they can save in lawyer costs. We just have a lawyer of ours draft
that's
something
awesome.
they can all use.
Yeah.
And then the entire industry just started using it for everything. Does that make sense? So then when you're a startup, you can say, hey, I want to use a safe note from Y Combinator. And everyone's, okay, I understand.
That's awesome.
I
And
get
you're
it.
saving a ton
And
of
then
money
they
on that
just
one.
do it.
You
And
just
then
said
you don't
like
have to worry
15 to
about
20 grand,
Does that
right?
make sense?
Shit.
Yeah, so that's what Republic, right? So that's an example of like a safe note, right? So you get investor. Let's say, so for example, we've already raised like
Okay.
hundreds of thousands of dollars at that valuation for angel investors, right?
Okay.
And I'll tell you the
awesome.
story what happened. So we have up to $1 million already raised, 400K in cash, 300K already closed, 600K of soft commits, and we go around and we try to get a lead investor. We think it's gonna actually be pretty easy because we have a transformative technology.
Yes.
And so we basically started out at sewage water, as you may know. And then we said, okay, that's great to prove that technology works, because that's a very challenging use case, and we actually prove it works with lab data, third-party lab data, our own lab data. We did it for a long time. We know it works. We compared it to the existing results and all that stuff. And we know it's a killer technology. But you have this hammer, and so what nail should you hit? So that's just because you dated
Yes,
a
indeed.
girl,
Okay.
that doesn't mean you have to get married to the first girl you meet.
Yeah.
Does that
It's like,
make
oh,
sense?
turns out
Or
I'm
the
pretty.
first boy you meet, or whatever, the first whatever you
Yes.
get, the significant other. So we knew that this was kind of like a, we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted
I was
to
like,
learn
okay,
and kind
so
of prove
people
prove
dig
our
me.
manhood. That's
Like,
it.
they are into
Break the
me.
seal. I don't know what you would say. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, or just again, just break the seal of having a customer, almost like pretending that they were a customer, servicing them and getting results for them in a production environment. We're actually at, some facilities that we can actually try this at. Like this is a real facility that was doing real things, and we actually had this real result that we measured, and these are real things
Yeah.
that you should invest in. That this is something that's a good idea. But poop is
Which
not
is
very
crazy.
valuable
Like
to
we
that.
all do it. Like everything happens to
It's just
everybody.
literally poop. So let's grab something better.
Mm-hmm.
So the analogy is you date someone and they kind of smell funny. So let's date someone
like,
a
I
little
can
bit
do
richer.
better.
Maybe a little bit better, better hygiene, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, a
exactly.
little bit better. Yeah, I can do a little bit better. So let's figure out this extraction value. How much can we extract from our next partner, right?
I'm valuable. Yeah.
Let's pretend we're a go digger. Let's pretend we're a go digger, right? So how much can we extract from this next boyfriend
Yes.
or girlfriend, whatever it is, right? But it's look, you want to find the perfect date. You want to find the perfect date. So then we look at the marketplace, and this is what all startups should do. You don't get married to the first idea, because sometimes you shift it. You have other ideas. You pivot, all that. So that's okay. You just be honest with yourself, because you're gonna spend a lot of time
Yeah.
with this
yeah.
person, and you don't want to get married to someone that smells funny. and if you don't do your homework, then maybe that's what you end up doing. Right? So don't get married to the first idea. And be adaptive. Be adaptive. Change.
It's a thing
change
of
your
patience, though. I
Because
mean, like,
this is new. This is a
be
new hammer.
patient
There's a
and,
bunch-
and
a
just
bunch
like
of
don't
nails.
freak
Hit a
out right
bunch of
away.
nails.
Or like,
So we
okay,
hit a
it's
bunch of
working out here.
nails.
You want to take it. It's like relax. Yeah.
Yeah. So we hit this nail. Boom! This nail is like, oh man, batteries, battery recycling, awesome. Blah blah blah. All these cars will have batteries one day. We're gonna recycle that. So we go all in this. The accelerator likes the idea. We pitch it to investors. They like the idea. Everything's awesome, and we think we're gonna clear a market. In other words, we think we can get an investor. So we go out. We get a bunch of
Okay.
follow-on, meaning we get the small checks. We get 25K checks, 100K checks, stuff like that, and we get a lot. We get $1 million really quick, like in less than a couple weeks. Like it just sells like hotcakes. And like, okay, this is gonna sell like hotcakes, for
Yep.
a big check, because we need a big check. And we went through this diligence process. And the VC
Man.
that we wanted to partner with, they walked away. It wasn't us, because VCs look for team, then they look for the vision, then they look for traction. Okay, so team is us, the people at the company. We're amazing, 10, 11, 12 amazing engineers, Harvard, MIT, the smartest people on the planet. Check, we're good. Vision, awesome. You have
Yeah.
an amazing device. It can sort things, metals, good extraction value, all that stuff. Check. Traction. Let's
Okay.
look at batteries. Talk to the customer. Good customer. How many customers are out there? Wow, 20 customers maybe. 20, 30 customers. This is a pretty new space. Oh, how many materials can they recycle? Okay, it's pretty good. They can do this much this year, but every customer maybe they make $500,000, which is what we advertise. Let's say, right?
Okay.
And times 20 is like what, $10 million. It's a little bit early. 20 possible customers. You have to sell them all. So there's a lot of risk. One is you have to sell a lot of customers, and then you have to service the customers. And these customers are everywhere in the world. And basically, this is a supply that is going to grow. I'm sure of it, because we know that EV cars, electric vehicles, will need to have batteries recycled.
Okay.
And these guys are saying that right now we're recycling 2013 cars.
Yeah, it's all exponential, right?
And it's going to grow as 2013 becomes 15 and 18. But when 18 happens or 16 happens, whatever the date is, it's going to start spiking up. And these guys.
Yeah, I mean, like,
that. But that's 5 years.
Is
down
it
the
5
road.
years, like the basic like amount
And a
of
lot of
time you
things
have to wait
go
before
right.
something picks up?
And
Yeah.
Sure, fine. 5 years down the road, but that's
Okay.
good if I could get a head start. So let's say this year it
Yeah,
works out,
yeah,
and
like
they
the
sell
growth
all
is
20
not there.
companies. Who do they sell
Sure.
next year? Right? And how do you know this doesn't become a commoditized business in year 5?
Ah.
And then they can't do it cheaper.
Well, what
than
about like
someone
trademark
copies
and
you
like
off China does, someone does,
copywriting laws?
right?
I thought it takes care of that, no?
But they don't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whatever the thought process is, they say, hey, I'm sorry, guys, in an email. I'm sorry, guys, we're not going to invest in you guys. At the final step, we had them vet with our customers. We spent lots of time with them. We
Again,
spent
here
time.
we are with this.
And they overpromised and underdelivered.
Yeah.
But it wasn't their fault, because that's their job. They have to protect their investment. But they didn't tell us why. They just said too early. Okay. Then we got another investor, super hot. We told them the truth.
Huh.
Hey, we're too early, blah, 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 blah. He says, yeah, that's okay with us. He's super friendly. He goes and he starts there. He doesn't start with people. He doesn't start with vision.
Okay.
He assumes those are actually good because we got past that. He starts with traction again, an opportunity. And he says,
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I spent a couple
I mean,
weeks.
so like this
and
one,
I can't get
it
there
saved you
either."
time though.
And there's two. Yes, exactly. So there's two ways you can act as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You can be mad
Pivot.
and say, screw you, you missed out on something, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. Or you can say, thank you for the advice. Because he actually offered to have some time to talk about it, because he's very nice.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, because not a lot of VCs do that.
Exactly.
And be humble.
And you understand that the whole process is a learning
This
one.
person is giving you a gift of information.
Like, man, you keep getting better.
Yeah. It's like someone breaks up with you.
What I do.
Someone just breaks up with you. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't like you, and bye.
Mm-hmm.
Or the person who sits down at a cafe. Hey, I really like you. I really like you a lot, but I am really, really religious, and I'm Catholic or Jewish.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
want to marry someone who's Catholic. I
You
realize
get a
you're
rel-
not Catholic. And
you
I
get a
find that it's
review.
more important to me than I thought. That's a good breakup. Right? And then on the other side, you can say,
Yeah.
screw you, blah, blah, blah. I could become Catholic too. What's wrong with you? Or you can make all these, you know what I'm saying? And like, you don't even give me a chance and all that. You can, or you can be cool, but I understand. Thank you so much. And that cool, but you know what's might happen? She might say, but I might,
Yes,
I might have a
indeed.
friend for you. I'd love to introduce you.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's true.
And that could happen if you're cool. So that's exactly what happened. So I said, okay, thank you so much for
Okay.
the advice. We'll take it to heart.
Yeah.
And this person introduced me to other VCs. Right? And this person's helpful. And like the thing is, you have to be cool about it, because these people are doing a job too. And you have to do your job and be professional about it.
And it's
Because
not something
frequency
personal. It's not like,
doesn't
oh, I didn't
match.
like
It
you.
doesn't make sense.
It's like, man, this is just like business.
And then so what? Yeah. Right. But again, the first time a VC turns you down is maybe happenstance, maybe lucky, bad luck. The second time it happens, there's probably a pattern. So we then took a wiser approach this time and pivoted. So this week, literally like 2 days ago, we came to the epiphany. What if we don't do batteries? What if we just get rid of all customers, period? What if we get rid of 2 risks? There's a customer success team that we have to build. Let's get rid of the customer success team. No more customers. Let's get rid of the risk of sales. No more sales. We do have a large customer in the mining industry we're about to sign, where we can get, let's say, $500,000, right? give or take. That's how much we can get. We're actually emulating about to get that. So now we have some money. We can actually learn a lot and actually help them with the mining. So we have mining all set. Let's go after and hunt treasure. Let's go hunt some treasure. Because apparently we have this technology that uses information to do something that used to require a membrane, matter and energy. So if information can beat matter and energy, where would be the most extraction value and where would be the most supply that we can consistently get? Does that make sense? So
what happened
we basically went through e-waste and all that stuff. And then guess what happened today? Okay, I want to tell you what happened today. I want to end with the show. How about this, right? A VC today, when we were pitching the battery story like a week or two ago, they came back and said, hey, we'd like to say no because it was too early for batteries. And I said to him, this is not what you expected me to say. I want to say thank you. That was the best thing you said to me, because usually rejection is the bad thing, but it's actually the best thing because we just pivoted. And I wanted to thank you because our team wasn't sure the pivot was the right thing, but you just confirmed that we were too early for batteries. And we'd like to describe something that we're trying to do. And literally we talked to this VC and said, look, I don't expect you to cut a check or anything. I don't want to sell anything. I just want some advice. And just be real people. And just say, hey, we want to pivot as a startup. What should we do? And we gave him some options. And we actually are going after an opportunity based on his advice, the other advice of the other VCs who turned us down. And guess what, guys? Turning you down means that it's probably not product market fit. Or maybe you have to adapt it somehow and you have to adjust it and be humble.
Yes.
Because you can blame the VCs or you can look inward and adapt. And that's what we're doing. And then we found a better solution, because now that nail that you just hit, you thought was the best nail ever, you found a better nail. So the better nail, I'll leave for the next episode. But think on this, guys. Think of this. Something that has predictable supply that you always get. Right? Something where the person who's doing it really needs it to be either cleaned up or they get fined or something like that, where they need to solve it and it's actually something very, very valuable for them. Right? And it's something that is a clear investment story, but also a clear technical problem to solve. And once we solve it, we can amplify it really easily. And we'll be the first ones to solve it. And it's a really, really big, really, 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 really large problem. That's VC scale. Okay. So then we talked back and forth and we said blah, 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 blah. And e-waste was generally the idea. So batteries belongs to e-waste, but too early.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
That's a
Maybe
huge one.
landfills. Mining landfills for metals or scrap metals, something like that. That was a good idea. Right? We might explore that. But the one that really might be interesting for us is also production facilities that have metal shards, like semiconductor plants or something like that, where you can basically capture the excess shards of metal, but also remediate the water of all the heavy metals that pollute the environment. So now you have a constant, predictable supply from a manufacturer, and then you basically do a good job with that. And if this vision valve can work out, it can solve a lot of the manufacturer's issues with the environment.
Yeah.
Because instead of dumping these heavy metals, what if we recover those heavy metals? Right? So you solve the ecological problem, which is one benefit, and you also can maybe use that metal again. Because that's the same metal you've been using to manufacture your product.
It's awesome.
So it's
exactly.
oil that you would have lost, but now you can actually recover. And once you do that, maybe you can do it in every plant on the planet, and no one's doing that right now. A lot of people are doing landfills.
Those are horrible.
China's doing landfills. Everyone's doing landfills. And this is very tough, hard technology. But we actually have it working. We have it working mostly. And we have some other stuff that I can't talk to you about, but we basically can get working pretty quickly. And this could be, again, you take lemons and you make lemonade out of it. And so I like to leave that quote: take lemons and make lemonade out of it. Thank you for being a fan of What the Phuc. I'll leave you on that cliffhanger. I'll let you know what happens to the fundraise. Stan stay a fan, and we will have this
Exactly.
membership where you can see maybe behind the scenes. I have a new publicist. We'll have to figure out what the content looks like. I might even have some other content that I want to create to show some of my my physics theories, as well as some of the computer science stuff that I'm an expert at, and kind of showcase some of the templates that people can download and kind of copy some of the success. And
sure.
then we'll have other stuff down the road. But this is really
I don't
fun,
know.
guys.
I'll check
Thanks
out
for
the
being
stats
fans.
and
I think- how many people
everybody
watch
stay
the show
tuned,
now?
and it's
Like,
gonna get awesome.
what do you think? Like,
Hopefully.
it used to be
Let's
4.
see.
It might be 5 now. I'll be very proud if we got. Here's how you do it. Here's how you
Yes.
frame it, guys. As a startup, we increased by 40% month over month. We got from 4 people to 5 people, or whatever, 6 people to 8 people. We increased by 25%. So anyway, I'll leave
Thanks a
you
lot,
with that,
everybody.
fans.
Take care.
And have a good weekend. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.